Kimura.
And I'm Regan. Yeah, and this is the Baiju Billabong.
Yeah, Baiju Billabong. So for all your Australian Chinese needs, you've got the Baiju and the Billabong. Not the brand Billabong, by the way. We're not sponsored by them, but hopefully one day.
We're talking Outback with the
Outback.
bunyips.
That Billabong, like the Matilda song. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we probably should just mention what we want to do on this podcast, but I think we're both active on Twitter. I'm still Reezy, and Timur is still Muslim. So I think a lot of our content is going to be, be quite Twittery, I suppose.
A lot of in-jokes and
yeah.
A lot of famous alpha figures on Twitter that you find these days.
Yes, so we'll be talking a lot about China watches, bizarre creatures they are, especially American ones, I suppose, and
some Chinese ultra-nationalists even, some of them go quite far in their, whatever they do.
Yeah, and I think we just want to look at the China-Australia relationship and then both those countries' places in the world.
Yeah.
Let's start with the one that is actually, like, more than anything, it's Australians involving themselves in China. But I suppose, obviously, it affects us here too. And that is Drew Pavlou and his new arch nemesis, Avi Yemeni.
That was definitely an epic one. It's like that, as I posted, because it was like, let them fight.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's give a background. So, not many people might know who Drew Pavlou is. He's recently got quite a lot of publicity from 60 Minutes and a few articles. How would you describe this Drew guy?
Yeah, well, he's a student at UQ, and he started out, I guess, with when the Hong Kong protest kicked off. He was sort of involved in some of the activism in the uni there. He's a student politics sort of guy, I guess, and this has really helped him build a profile. He's got quite a following on both Twitter and Facebook now. I was on his Facebook page today. It's strange enough, it's a global following. Anywhere there's anti-China content, there's going to be
the usual
an audience.
You got the Bogans, you got the Modi Indian trolls.
Yeah.
Then you got the sort of the greeny lefties. It's quite a kind of weird left-right spectrum. Yeah.
Yes, and I think he's managed to portray himself mostly as a leftist, I guess. Certainly, I've noticed on Facebook when he posts anything sort of pro-refugee rights in Australia, he gets criticised very quickly from a lot of his followers. So while he does have that broad following, very varied. So, and he sort of involved himself with the protests at UQ. I guess there's students from both Hong Kong and Taiwan, and then the counter-protesting from, I guess, mainland Chinese students at UQ. He's since been, was it expelled from UQ?
No, suspended, I think, for a year. That's what I read.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we should probably sometime get a guest on who's a bit closer and knowledgeable about the workings of UQ and stuff.
Yeah, he gets a salary for being a senator. That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
I've
never been to UQ, so I'm not really sure how all their stuff there works.
Well, aren't you in Brisbane? Why don't you just pop over and have a look? Isn't that how it works?
That's on the fancy part of town.
On the ground reporting. No.
Yeah. I didn't actually go to any of the stuff when the Hong Kong thing, they had the Lennon Wall there. I didn't actually go there, so I'm not going to say a lot about that because I really don't know. Most of them was like secondhand. Obviously, I've seen his content online.
The official mainstream reporting by the ABC, and even so-called centre left mainstream sources such as Fairfax has been quite atrocious from last year to this year. Like there was that sort of uncovering by certain students against Drew Pavlou of his constant bullying against Chinese students, which he takes great mirth in. I'm just like, how's that not taken in? It seems like there's this whole way to portray as though Drew is just being attacked for being anti-communist or Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah.
When in fact, he's also doing a lot, hitting back quite hard as well. Yeah.
Yeah, he seems very, very confused, but he's always passionate about making some noise.
Yeah, I mean, he likes their attention. You can tell, and it's kind of this from my perspective as a Aussie-born Chinese that's lived here for most of my life. He really feels like this kind of leftist, sort of greeny leftist person who thinks it's still okay to be, offensive to Asians.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he gives that feel to me mostly. But yeah.
I think he feels like it's kind of like it's almost like a paternalist hatred in that he thinks he knows what's better for the Asian people, I guess.
And
Chinese
back
people.
to the comments, like you always see some guy called like, I don't know, Elvin Leung or something on his comments, because they like a lot of people, like it's just generalizing, but you got the Elvins who's like his whole life just wanted to be like an accountant. He's just like, oh, I'm gonna be an accountant. I'm gonna accountant. Then now he's like, you saw his dad go to Shenzhen every week and get like 5 hookers,
right?
220 RMB, and like bought 10 factories in the 1990s, and now he can't do that anymore. And he thinks it's all the Chinese people's fault. And he in his eyes, anyone that's against China, such as Abiy Yemeni, he's obviously good. But he just doesn't understand why suddenly, Drew Pavlou was attacked. He doesn't have a left or right spectrum. He just has China bad, Hong Kong good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that say Drew's supporters from the Hong Kong crowd, neither of them really believe the same things. I don't think they really understand each other either. And obviously those sort of online Hong Kong accounts, they'll dispose them as soon as they've got what they wanted out of them, So maybe we should talk about the other side of the spectrum there, and that was someone who was, without a doubt, a extremely dangerous and scary individual.
He scares me just from the tweets, mate. He has an army.
Yeah. So now he is working on his own sort of anti-China grift. I mean, Avi casts a wide net when he's looking for
in the right wing. Yeah.
Yes. Anything, he's had to go at, anything from Sudanese community to Antifa. Could go
former federal candidate for the Australian Liberty Alliance.
That's right.
Party. Was he in the IDF or was he? I can't remember.
There's photos of him that look like it. He's never actually said that. So I guess I'm not sure where he grew up and stuff or what his situation is. To be honest, I tried to avoid him as much as possible. It wasn't until his falling out with Drew on Twitter the last couple of days that I decided to check in to see what he's up to. Do you want to talk about people on whose side they? To be honest,
his falling out kind of made me have a more positive view of Drew. Like, because Drew is actually, he seems like he has certain values that he will die on a hill for, such as Palestinian liberation. And I was just like, oh, interesting. And you pointed that out to me. I was like, wow, okay, he's not all bad, in my opinion.
Yeah. No.
He's not 100% grifter. Maybe 90% a grifter, but he's like Mao. There's a bit of bad, a bit of good. Yeah.
I do think. I mean, you could call him. I don't know if I call him a leftist, but he's certainly like a progressive. And the thing is, difference between him and a lot of people. He's really young as well. I don't even know if he's 20 yet. So
20 or 21, yeah.
So he will have time to grow. And it was, I do have to hand it to him for posting that Avi is not someone to be associated with,
I mean, he got backed up by Hong Kong Hermit, the most famous garden teacher in the world. So
someone else I've also tried to my life and block as much as possible. So yeah, he said some stuff about Avi, because Avi actually was in Hong Kong. He must have gone over for those.
Yeah, he did. He was, he even had a talk of that. That Chinese dude who blares out the Chinese national anthem with like a stereo on his back. He had like a deal with him. Yeah, and the dude, definitely an alpha dude. Just walking around. he could just get killed literally by 20 goons, but he just doesn't care. Yeah.
So yeah, Hong Kong Hermit had a go at him, which is pretty funny to see. And this is the point where, say, you're Indian nationalists, and then the actual ideologically sort of right-wing Hong Kongers, that seems to be where they've jumped off the Drew thing, and they've really just, I mean, it's not that they've shown themselves, but now it's just they've put themselves, I don't know how to you put it.
Yeah, they've kind of, it's weird. So the Hong Kong thing is, there's so many factions in that. So the extreme right, and the one that's associated with, so this new thing called New Federated States of China, Federal States of China, set up by Bannon and Guo Wengui, Miles Kwok.
Yep.
Anyway, it's all connected, intertwined somehow, and they have this sort of press team called Himalaya, and they went in and labeled Drew Pavlou as a senior Wumao officer, which is hilarious.
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
And they all told the Falun Gong people and the new citizens of this country that's only a few months old to like unfollow him. The mass unfollowing.
Yes. Yeah. It's weird deplatforming.
Yeah. It was amazing warfare just going right there. But it would be quite a good play if Drew actually was like some like General Wumao guy. That would just be amazing by Xi Jinping right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it just shows how quickly sort of these reactionary groups will throw you aside and call you names as soon as they're done with you.
Yeah. I mean, look at Milo Yiannopoulos when he came out with that pedophile stuff, and he got deplatformed. He's like, usefulness was no longer there, and they basically just
absolutely
left him to rot.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen to Drew. But Drew luckily has a strong left following as well. Yeah. So
it will be interesting to see if he sticks with the Hong Kong thing, or he moves on to something else. Sorry, we forgot to talk about it also with Drew about that Nazi group holding the flags outside or something.
Oh, what are they called? They were part of Antipodium. They were allied with those guys.
Yeah.
It was something like Australia for white males, which is quite interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find it now. Damn it.
It's just the Chinese Australia scene just moves too fast. Yeah.
Yeah. But the funny thing was Drew accused them of being, he said it was a false flag carried out by the CCP.
Oh.
Remember?
Yeah, that was hilarious. And then you look into his, like, literally his followers, half of them are One Nation voters.
Yeah.
Who just say so many racist things. And you're like, I don't know, Drew. This sounds like, maybe they're just actual racists.
I'm not going to comment whether he is or not, but there was, whether he's conscious, he was offering a dog whistle that was being picked up, and racists were looking for racism, and I guess they thought they found it. So
yeah, a lot of far right people were quite disappointed that Drew wasn't right wing. When he started calling out Steve Bannon and as we talked about Avi Yemeni, they were like really disappointed. Like, wow, this guy's not the real deal. He's he's actually just another lefty greeny guy. Yeah.
Yes.
That brings back how they think there's this massive Wumao network. There's like some Wumao commissioner. There's a bunch of guys in like some high tech lab. Go like, yes sir, I'm Captain Wumao, and they like get into like, I'm gonna send some Xi Jinping pro memes like Xi Jinping 40% poverty reduction stuff. It's not true, because most of the time it's like it's a bunch of guys. Like I remember like walking past. There was this thing called like cultural whatever central bureau thing in Beijing. It was literally like an internet cafe of two guys picking their feet eating sunflower seeds. It's not that high tech, and they're probably just like going like, oh, this guy, he said China sucks on Weibo, I better delete it. It's not that high tech, because they mostly just work domestically, because they don't need to actually, work overseas, because they can't beat the US, the Hollywood. Yeah.
This idea that there's accounts out there trying to change our minds is just outside of like China Daily posting videos of infrastructure projects, like that's it.
Yeah.
Because there's enough just Chinese people, I suppose, both in and outside of China, just posting their own content. You're calling someone a Wumao because they couldn't fathom the idea of someone from within China having an independent thought, about their own country or whatever. So
it's just absolutely crazy. Like, it dehumanizes the person. It means basically, it's like when you start bringing out Hitler to attack someone, and it's like the Godwin's law.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's like you basically lost the argument, because you can't beat him, so you start labeling him as like a Chinese paid-off shill. But it is also quite funny, because a lot of people are now identifying Wu Mao kind of like proudly now.
Yeah, we're reclaiming the slur.
yeah. It's like, I'm a proud Wu Mao, man. I'm Field Marshal of the Wumaos. Just, tweeting 1,000 infrastructure videos a day.
Well, I mean...
50 Uyghur dancing videos, whatever the hell they do now.
Oh, the dancing videos. We'll talk about that another time. So, what else are we going to talk about?
I mean, there was, we could perhaps go deeper into the new federal states of China.
Right, that was it. Yeah.
I'm not sure if everyone knows, but there's a new country that was, set up on the auspicious date on the 4th of June. Obviously, a lot of symbolism there. So you can just imagine there's like this scene near like sort of the New York Harbor. There's the Statue of Liberty. There's a little dinghy. There's Guo, Bannon, former soccer football star, Ho Haidong, and Ye Zhaoying, who's also a famous badminton player in China.
Right.
And they raise the flag, and there's like, it's just very cringy. It doesn't look like something that a billionaire would do. But so yeah, this new country, it's actually spread quite quickly. Now it's already into in Australia. It seems like they had a big protest.
Yes, where was that again?
In Sydney, yeah.
Sydney, yeah.
And
actually,
that's very controversial, because they didn't get fined or called out much, and there was quite a lot of them. Yeah.
That rally was definitely larger than the Black Lives rally that happened on Black Lives Matter rally that happened on Tuesday, where people actually got arrested. Interesting enough.
Yeah.
I think I tweeted that I wondered if they had police approval for that. Apparently, you don't need it for under 50 people. But
it looks like more than 50, because they were at multiple places. Maybe it's the same people, because you can't really see. But,
yeah, I couldn't tell. And if they did do multiple locations, I guess that gets them out of it. But it's interesting what protests are allowed and what aren't.
Not many people condemning it. I mean, I saw David Brophy, saying like, how come no one's really condemning them for potentially spreading coronavirus? But yeah, it's just also really annoying that like how can they've just moved so fast. It was set up last month. Now they're already in Australia doing like these protests.
So how do I word this? Was there a Falun Gong connection there, or?
Well, it looked like, just judging from the accounts posting on Twitter, it's the same kind of accounts that are usually tweeting pro Falun Gong kind of material.
Right.
And onto that Falun Gong thing, it seems like the new federated states is the entire population seems to just be Falun Gong, plus Steve Bannon, who might be part of the Falun Gong now. I don't know if he is or not. And it's crazy, because the Falun Gong, they have a lot of rabid fans. Like, remember when the ABC posted something negative about them recently, and
Yes, and
they just all went hard on it. Yeah.
that's right. Even the claims that the CCP has gotten to the ABC.
Yeah, which is hilarious
Um,
because you look at how much negative stuff they post about the CCP.
yeah, seems to be. I don't know what Steve Bannon's connection is there because he's getting money from somewhere, I guess. For his he's got his new news network, but
Yeah.
it does feel very astroturfed. It doesn't. It's obviously not a real movement or anything.
Mm.
They've got a flag. It's not a very good one. So
Yeah. Looks like kind of like a Star Trek European Union
yeah.
mashup.
So
Imagine if you're you're a Taiwanese, a right-wing Taiwanese person like the KMT. You feel pretty stabbed in the back because they've been trying to, have that reclaim China stuff for a while.
that's a good
70 years.
point.
It's like, why did you guys make a new one? We're here already. We have land.
Okay, so yeah, we should find out why they have been sort of left out of that. It looks like, yeah, well, that just shows how fake it is, like.
Well, because in truth, like the KMT in Taiwan is pretty much a dying thing. Once the old people die, most people will, the stronger party will definitely be DPP forever. Even now, I don't see them winning that election. But that's totally another conversation. But they're still very much nationalistic, very much they want a strong China, KMT people.
Yeah.
So they would mostly sometimes even side the CPC on certain things, say the South China Sea issue.
Right.
So obviously, Bannon wouldn't want a strong China. He would prefer balkanized. I mean, you got all these random people proclaim themselves on Twitter, president of some random province in China. There's like, a Shanghai independence movement, a Fujian one.
Yeah, it does feel like in the last year, a lot of those accounts have popped up. There's like a Manchurian homeland one, and
it's heaps, yeah. Oh, no, there's so many, yeah. There's one for Shanghai called Wuyueguo, which is like, a really old name for that area, like Shanghai area. And there was also one for Dawanguo. That guy's really famous, Peter Stone.
Okay.
Wang Qingying, I think that's his name. So he used to be an ex-professor in China, and somehow he became a born-again Christian, then migrated to America and proclaimed himself king of southern Hunan, which is where Dawan is. Yeah. And now he's a Deliveroo driver or something, and he got his bike stolen twice in the last few months. Anyway, everyone just makes fun of him because he's like, I'm the king of Dawan. He's kind of like a meme hero, but I don't know where he's gone. He's deleted his Twitter recently. I think he just got sick of getting wrecked so hard every time.
Yeah, well, there's only so much bullying online someone can take. And just while that topic we did talk about another recording was all of a sudden all these maps of a balkanized China have been getting spread around online. Some really like a lot of verified accounts sharing it, with occupied Yunnan and just bizarre breakups of China.
It definitely seems to be like a Yugoslavia post-Soviet plan being sought out by someone in the background. I can't really say who.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's really weird because there's that one map, and I don't know where. It'd be interesting to see who made it. Where
that's from the Indian media channel. It's only been a good one. There are much better breakup balkanization maps I've seen posted around. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was this one I saw where they literally said China's the Yellow River, this little area where they were like the first like people that started growing tea and stuff. I'm like, well, okay, that's definitely the best one. Like that is top tier balkanization. The Indian one, that one's crap, man. They give China too much land.
Yeah,
that
was not
go
very
back,
ambitious.
and just give China like those two stones where the Yellow Emperor like sat. That's it. Nothing else. Yeah. But it's that the logic is just very I don't quite get it because maybe they don't care. It doesn't have to be logical, but
absolutely, yeah.
If you're gonna start breaking up land that was China gained over 1,000 years ago, then no country in the modern world would exist. Maybe except for San Marino. So Yeah.
Well, it's funny because one of the big criticisms of coming from America of China at the moment is that China's revisionist and wants to change the order of things. And wouldn't this idea of breaking up China change like the order of Asia, really?
Yeah. I mean,
But there is no there's no real argument to most of this stuff. It's just they just throw as much shit at the wall, and anything that sticks, eventually ends up on BBC, and the foreign what is he, the foreign affairs guy or whatever for China is forced to say, I don't know what the hell this is, like.
yeah, Hua Chunying, and what's his name? That guy, Zhou Lijian. Yeah, my favorite guy. The glasses guy, like the nerdy
Yeah.
one. Yeah, he's definitely slaying it. Yeah, he. It's just like there's all these like that BDSM video with the guy spinning around in Taiwan.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Incredible.
definitely. It's pretty funny that just some guy in Taiwan who's like, oh wait, that's not Uyghurs, that's me in like a sex club. And
Yeah, but imagine being that guy. He's not like he can go and tell anyone. Those sex clubs are probably really exclusive and private. So
yeah, especially in in a more Chinese society, it's very conservative.
Yeah, like he's just hoping his wife doesn't talk about.
Well, his wife now knows he has like a Chinese policeman fetish, being tortured.
Yes.
So
yeah, being tortured.
very interesting fetish. I have to give it to that guy. I like it.
Yeah, I don't understand how it works. We'll save that for another podcast.
We should definitely have a podcast on Taiwanese sex clubs.
BDSM.
Yeah. Like, what do they have? They have like Mao suits and stuff. Just people, it's just been built in. Yeah.
Oh yeah, licking PLA boots.
Some weird, fetish. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
It's quite interesting with all that. But I wanted to talk about was that guy Young Gao, how he got told to he kind of just made a rebuttal to James Palmer for foreign policy.
Yes.
And he was just told to kind of fuck off. And I found that kind of it really speaks about James Palmer, I think, yeah, as a person.
Yes, that's it's a textbook example, isn't it?
Bullying.
Of trying to bullying and just trying to watch as dismissing actual Chinese voices that disagree with their narrative, really.
Yeah, that's definitely, yeah. Because he had a big thread today about his feelings about the place. Like, he's like, no one cares what I say, even though he's an ethnic minority from Xinjiang, and everyone just disregards what he says because he's not saying what they want to hear.
Exactly. Yeah.
It kind of heartfelt. Yeah.
We'll have a look at that thread because it'd be interesting. I do follow him, but it's a guy like that could so easily get a grift going and tell the media what they wanted to hear. But he's obviously a dude of integrity, I guess. And
yeah, I mean, he's a PhD as well, so you could just start making up stuff like 2 million Mongolians in the river or something, and you'll be on BBC next day, or John Oliver.
Yeah.
He'd be making lots of money, but yeah.
I guess the establishment is the China watching establishment is making sure that he is not to be spoken to, and I'm not sure how powerful Palmer is. What's his role at foreign policy? Is he?
He's one of the editors there. I think he's the deputy editor. Yeah.
It's a pretty influential magazine then, so that's a big voice.
He used to work at Global Times as well, so wouldn't that implicate him as well as like potentially a senior Wumao?
Well, isn't the point that these people have to prove themselves so hard, as we've just discussed with Drew, is that if he was to slip just a little bit, they could turn on him at any moment. I mean, he's not just some talking. He's not just some account on Twitter. He's like a person with an actual influence. So it's a bit different, but yeah.
Yeah, it's all very scattered around. I mean, James Palmer is definitely one of the more senior voices on their side. With Bethany Ellen Abraham, I think that's her name.
Yep.
And Leader Hong Fincher. That's like the more educated prestige gang. But what I find
Yes.
interesting about all of those people is that they can't take any criticism about their
No,
views.
and
Yeah.
as soon as there is any, what they've done well is they've figured out how to weaponize the troll accounts on Twitter to do their dirty work for them, pretty much. They'll call for, they had a go at Carl a few weeks ago, and I think that's what's happening now. That's what.
Definitely. They talk about Wumaos, but they definitely have 100 Maos on their side in terms of army power. Yeah. Anyway, I just really felt bad for Go Young because he got a lot of crap just speaking his mind and getting attacked a lot.
I actually should try and get him on sometime if possible.
Yeah, he's from New Zealand, so similar time zone, I guess.
Yeah, I think he's in Auckland or so. So yeah,
interesting to talk about. His Mongol background as well. And how that relates to say Huis and Uyghurs in the area.
Yes. I'd love to learn about how it all works over there, because I guess that's probably one of the best people to listen to, because can't really trust the Western media.
Yeah.
Pretty skeptical of some of the Chinese sources. So
yeah, the Chinese media is just trashed. All they do is, as you said, post infrastructure videos and minorities dancing, like as though that happens in those areas.
And it's not actually informative either. Like, outside of propaganda, like, you're not learning anything through that, and they're not educating the world about China enough. So yeah, but we'll have to. I think we can devote a full episode to that one.
Yeah, definitely. This is pretty good. Just starting off, talk what's on our mind, I guess. Have a few.
Yeah, this has been a good first episode. Just starting with a bit of online drama and then how that online dramas interact with the real world. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy because we make fun of ASPI, Australian Strategic Policy Institute, but they're doing a lot for the arms manufacturers. Yeah.
Yes. Some big money from Raytheon and such going into them, and I looks like John Oliver's, either his researchers have come across ASPI as well.
Yeah.
And they used some of their stuff in the latest one. So.
And Adrian Zenz.
See, the classic lineup of imperialism.
Yeah, the big two. There's also another one I can't remember. Zenz, ASPI. Who else? Can't remember. Yeah.
Bellingcat seemed to be on that for a while, but I think they seems to have branched out and doing a lot more other stuff as well. But they had a couple of people.
Yeah, what is Bellingcat? Isn't that like a kind of like a progressive thing, but it's kind of like actually funded by the right or something? That's what I heard. I don't really know.
I'm still trying to figure it out as well. Yeah, for a while they just had someone look like they were just on Google Earth looking at buildings in China and then extrapolating that data into, I don't know.
Oh yeah. They literally just got random buildings that look like it could be an encampment. And they're like, yeah, this is definitely it.
That's right.
Yeah. They get random random prison photos of random people. You can't really see their ethnicity going on a train. They're like, yeah, these guys are definitely Uyghurs.
Yeah.
And
yes.
Even though that one time when they let in that BBC reporter, he tried to make that kindergarten or the vocational center look really evil. It's like, well,
that's right.
It just didn't come off very bad. It's just like, oh, I guess it's pretty sad that they can't leave, which is definitely wrong. But it wasn't genocide per se. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a complicated one. We'll have to.
Yeah, I'm not 100% in agreement with that policy at all. It's very broad. But
I don't know enough. It's funny going on some of the left book groups on Facebook, and this gets brought up all the time. But the general consensus is, for a lot of us, we just you can't know. There's no sources that can really be trusted. So I don't really know what you're supposed to do there, but certainly we should resist any attempts to turn it into war, basically, which is my main thing, I guess. And yeah, they've sold us plenty of lies in the past, so we should just be very careful before we get too carried away with anything.
Definitely. It just reeks off WMDs and incubators, as I've said many times before.
Yep.
And I'm also quite interested in if it's definitely there's not going to be a war, because look at the state of the US at the moment. They can't have any more problems, but they might try to pretend, like try to drum up stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Can't figure it out. All right, but we're going on 40 minutes, so let's wrap this one up, and we'll chat soon.
英雄花间意，歌曲人影稀。谁知明日时分里，台上望真心。唱一曲别离，谁在君怀里？昨日相依，今夜又相离，各领笑泪滴。一出悲喜，钟离佳人老矣。为戏幕里英雄美人在交替，笑谈千年。